When we imagine the Neolithic period, we often picture primitive people with simple stone tools. But archaeological discoveries reveal a startling truth. Our ancestors 10,000 years ago possessed technological knowledge that seems impossible for their time. This wasn't just about survival, it was about sophistication we're only beginning to understand. Let's start with medicine. We found skulls showing clear evidence of successful brain surgery, trepanation, performed with flint and obsidian blades. These surgeons knew exactly how deep to cut without damaging the brain. They performed amputations using tourniquets made from animal tendons, sutured wounds with bone needles and plant fiber threads, and used herbal antiseptics that modern science confirms have antibacterial properties. This wasn't chance, this was systematic medical knowledge. Their chemistry was equally advanced. They produced birch tar through a complex distillation process, requiring airtight conditions, technology not officially invented until the Middle Ages. This tar created adhesives so strong they could bear tons of weight, used for hafting axes and repairing pottery. They developed waterproofing treatments for clothing and boats, using combinations of wax, resin, and oils that remained effective for years. But perhaps most astonishing was their astronomy. At sites like Nabta Playa and Gossec, we find stone circles functioning as precise calendars, tracking solar and lunar cycles with accuracy matching modern instruments. They recorded the 26,000-year cycle of equinoctial precession, a subtle astronomical phenomenon that requires generations of meticulous observation. Their megalithic structures align with solstices with precision we'd struggle to achieve today without lasers and computers. Their engineering device explanation. At Çatalhöyük, an underground city of 10,000 people had sophisticated ventilation systems, shafts that maintained airflow while regulating temperature and humidity. They built multi-level irrigation systems with precisely calculated slopes for optimal water flow. Most mysteriously, they transported and erected megaliths weighing up to 50 tons, using only rollers, levers, and ramps, a feat of logistics and physics that still puzzles engineers. Mathematics flourished in unexpected ways. The bone from Ishango, dating to 20,000 BCE, shows not just counting, but operations with prime numbers. Their pottery and architecture consistently employ the golden ratio, 1.618, a proportion later celebrated by Greek mathematicians and Renaissance artists. They created perfect geometric patterns with multiple axes of symmetry, all without rulers, compasses, or written calculation methods. Their textile industry would impress modern manufacturers. They built vertical looms capable of producing complex patterned fabrics, using multiple shuttles simultaneously. They developed color-fast dyes from plants and minerals that retained their vibrancy for millennia. Some fabrics were woven so finely they could filter microscopic particles, used for medical dressings and water purification. Food technology was revolutionary. They mastered fermentation, creating beer and cheese. They developed preservation methods that kept grain edible for decades in sealed underground silos. Most remarkably, they detoxified poisonous plants like cassava and acorns through sophisticated soaking and boiling processes, empirical chemistry that saved countless lives. Metallurgy began with experimentation. They smelted native copper, cold-forged meteoric iron, and through trial and error created the first alloys. They heat-treated stone to improve its flaking quality, a process that increases silica's workability through precise temperature control. Communication systems were ingenious. They used clay tokens for accounting, a proto-writing system. Smoke signals conveyed complex messages across valleys. Monodic devices like knotted cords preserved agricultural calendars and genealogies. They even created maps on leather and bone showing trade routes spanning continents. This knowledge wasn't stored in books, but in rituals. Through dances, songs, and ceremonies, they encoded and transmitted complex information across generations. Each movement, each rhythm, preserved instructions for tool-making, planting cycles, star navigation. The Neolithic wasn't a primitive prelude to civilization. It was a parallel technological path. These people solved problems with solutions so elegant that we're only now rediscovering them through archaeology. They understood their world with a depth that challenges our assumptions about progress. Their technologies weren't just practical, they were expressions of a sophisticated understanding of nature, mathematics, and human potential that we're still catching up to comprehend.